And welcome back to the episode of the Geek Centurions. We're here to talk about Moon Knight. It's me, your boy Eli.
Hey, Joe.
And we're gonna start off with just talking about holy shit, Moon Knight's pretty good.
Yeah, I think this episode is we definitely get into a bit more of the lore going on here.
Mm-hmm. Lore that I know nothing about as a comic book fan.
Yeah, and it's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta say, you said Moon Knight is about 6 episodes, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I think the pacing is somewhat evened out a bit for me. I feel like what happened in this episode, I feel like definitely has evened out the pacing for me a little bit. Because I think probably one of the coolest parts of this episode, it's something that we more or less mentioned, I think in the our first review of the first episode, is getting to see Marc Specter's perspective whenever he like loses control of the body.
Yeah.
Like we essentially got that in reverse because the first episode that was Steven.
Yeah.
He'd lose control and then like stuff would happen and he gained back control. Here,
it's the other way around.
It's the other way around.
And so like they do a lot of cool stuff. And while Steven was more like, what's going on? I don't know what's going on. Mark's more like, Steve, give me control or I will beat you up. But I am you. I don't care.
Yeah, to be fair, there was like at the same time though, it does add a bit of mystery because there is a moment where like Steven's like, hey, what the hell did you do, Mark? It's like, that wasn't me.
Yeah, the implication is that there might be another personality or it just might be Khonshu.
Yeah, but then they just Khonshu himself just being like, screw this. I'm just taking control of the body. Yeah.
Yep. Which you can tell, I mean, I think it can do. Again, my knowledge of Moon Knight is very limited. But, the interesting fact is that it's really a race now to find this artifact. And clearly, Mark and Khonshu don't know. They have an idea. They even try talking. They try a lot trying to get to stop Ethan Hawke's character Hawthorne, and even
Harrow.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And they even call upon the other Egyptian gods and they bring in their avatars, and they're all like, "Yeah, Khonshu, but you're a dick though."
Yeah. We kind of get to learn like more or less that the Egyptian gods are like, yeah, we've more or less decided not to interfere with a lot of things just because it's it's not on our place anymore. Yeah, and like Khonshu's are like, no, it's like, Khonshu, please, you're being a little weird.
You little bitch.
You gotta stop like trying to like expose us for being real because that would probably cause a lot of problems. Which I mean he does like because Marc Specter's like, why don't we just like tell the Egyptian gods, hey, this guy's gonna try to revive Ammit, and and Khonshu's like, see, we aren't exactly on the best of terms, and he has to like literally force an eclipse in the middle of the day just to get their attention. And they're like, Khonshu, if you screw up with the skies, we're gonna stone you. Not stone you as in throw stones at you, but turn you into stone.
You'll be frozen one time. And like they're like, no, we're not doing this again. Get out. Also, I'm gonna call him Hawthorne again, aren't I?
Arthur Harrow is his name.
Harrow.
Yeah, Harrow.
Harrow is like, hey, yeah, no, man. Khonshu's even more of a dick, really, because he's in control of someone has mental issues. And then Khonshu's like, shut the fuck up.
I'll kill you.
Good.
Yeah, so like Khonshu's pretty much like like
everyone is against his ass.
Yeah, like he's just trying to like plead with the Egyptian gods, like, hey, listen, this guy is no bueno, and like Harrow's like, what do you? I mean, listen, Khonshu's clearly gone off the deep end. I mean, like I'm just wandering around the desert doing things in Egypt. I'm just gonna, I'm just being a normal dude.
Totally normal dude.
Yeah, just totally normal. Totally normal. Walks with glass in my sandals.
I'm kind of upset that they don't have the sound effect anymore with him walking.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just a bit too much effort,
Mm-hmm.
or it's just more like,
Once you know, you know.
yeah, like it's like once you see that bit in the first episode, like okay, this is here, but I don't know. I feel like eventually, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
uh, from him walking all day, like the glass he's stepping on would just become like just tiny little shards, and it wouldn't make that much noise.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe that's just the reality of it. Uh, but yeah, no, it's sort of like Marx and Steven and Kanji are like, well, what do we do now? And one of the
Mm-hmm.
it was the lady who's the avatar of Egyptian god that like
Music and stuff, yeah.
yeah, of music and stuff, whatever. And she's like, hey,
Well, you
listen,
can try this.
yeah, it's like, hey, I'll give you, like, hey, try to find the sarcophagus of
Mm-hmm.
Sep or whatever. Again, Egyptian names are hard for me to remember and pronounce.
You're not the only one.
He was a follower of Amet, and he was the only one that truly knows where her tomb is. And in case the Egyptian gods ever decided to like show mercy on Amet, and like
Mm-hmm.
so they tried going on the black market because it was stolen.
Yeah, because when is everything not stolen?
Yeah, especially when it comes to archaeological stuff like mummies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Leia shows up and is like, "All right, listen, all right. If we're gonna stop Harrow, we gotta work together. All right, you can't just be doing whatever it is you guys are doing." And Mark sort of reluctantly agrees because he knows that he feels it's far too dangerous for Leia, especially considering all the supernatural nonsense that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
They eventually find the guy who's in possession of the sarcophagus. I forget his name, but he's a very fancy man.
Fancy man.
He has a bunch of men riding on horses, hitting each other with spears and stuff. Dresses in like a freaking nightgown. Very fancy man. Very fancy man.
Yeah, I think so. Remember when they announced? They said that a recent actor for a role in Moon Knight passed away. That was him.
Really?
Yes. I think the character he plays is called Midnight Man. I'm double checking right now. But yeah, no, he's the one who recently passed away. That's why the episode's dedicated to him. Guy does a great job. He is both smooth and terrifying at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no. Really, this has become really the episode where the personalities have to work together, because after a lot of this discourse between each other, like, okay, look, Mark knows about Egyptian shit. He worked at the museum. I'm sorry, Steven. Oh, now they got me doing it. God damn it. But no, it's okay. So Steven knows Egyptian stuff. He can figure it out, and so we're gonna try and let him take over. And so much credit to Oscar Isaac's acting. The fact that he can just like switch between personalities in a dime, and do like a lot of because it's not just his voice or his voice, but also his mannerism, his body language that you can tell he changed for each personality. So seeing him do that quick transition into like, hey Steven, I'm gonna let you take over. Tell us fine, whatever. And there you go. That's what happens. Yeah. And they're like, oh, we know where it is, but we need to mess with the moon, with the skies again.
Yeah, because like they find like this little like I guess puzzle thing on the mummy, and it's like a star map.
Yes.
Like Steven sort of constructs it together, and it's a star map. But the issue is that because of time, the stars will essentially move out of place over the course of thousands of years. And Steven's like, unless we know exactly what the sky was when Sep made this star map, then we probably won't be we'll be like searching for miles throughout this desert for the tomb, in which Khonshu's like, I think I know how to I see the night sky every day. I know I can figure this out, but it's gonna cost me. And tell Mark to free me when it's all over.
Go get him, kid.
Yeah, which is nice because it's like sort of like the first time where Khonshu is like actually nice to Steven.
Yeah,
Because like
or just nice to these personalities in general.
Yeah, because for the most part, Khonshu, he's sort of like I mean, he's an ass to Steven just because he's like, oh, he's the idiot's in charge of the body, get out of here.
Yeah, he's the useless one.
Yeah, and Mark, when it comes to Mark, he's like, let's uphold the deals, Mark. Like,
Yeah, it's straight business. The other one's just an insult.
Yeah, and here it's like, I must do what I must if we're going to stop Amit.
Because clearly we can't let because the whole thing of Khonshu and Ahmed is that Khonshu's like, we'll deal out the justice when you need to deal it out, while Ahmed is very Minority Report style.
Yeah, like they yeah, like I mean, this was a discussion in the last, I believe, episode where Steven's like, you're fine with like killing people, who are going to do bad, even if they haven't done it yet, even children, infants, and and Harrow's like, you gotta make the necessary sacrifice, and it's like, that's fucked up, that's wrong.
He's just straight up saying, yeah, that's fucking weird, man. I don't think I'm down with that.
Yeah, no, that's like killing babies. That's that's that seems bad. That seems real bad.
I don't see any good I don't see any good in this. But yeah, no, it's and so that's basically where the episode ends. Like, okay, we know where they are. We're gonna go find them. Also, Khonshu's in stone now.
Yeah, because the Egyptian gods upheld their threat. They turned him into stone. They bring Harrow in just to be like, yeah, I guess you were right. Yeah, Khonshu's gone off the deep end. We had to do what we had to do.
Okay, so question about you on that. Do you think that the other Egyptian gods are in on it?
Are in on them releasing Amit?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I don't really see. Here's the thing. Like, I feel like if they were in on it, they would totally just have like done everything in their power to get Khonshu out of the way, like way beforehand. And heck, even one of the avatars helps Marc Specter a little bit, so it feels weird.
That it is, because that's the scene. That's kind of the feeling I got by that scene. It's like, who was it? Who was it? I don't know what god he was for, but it seemed very much like he was maybe in four with, or he was with Arthur.
I guess you could read that. I just felt it was more like he, like, yeah, I guess you were right about that, kind of thing. Is one of the, I don't know. It's interesting, because I feel like the Egyptian gods are still hesitant about like releasing Amet or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like they don't think it's a necessarily great idea. So I feel like by the time like shit starts to go down, they'll be like, "Oh, you made a dum dum. We gotta stop this guy."
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. But so far, okay, so far this show has been exceeding expectations. Am I correct in that statement?
I would guess so, because I mean, a lot of people probably were very much like hesitant about Moon Knight, because he is a very, I guess, complex character to adapt, and a bit of a hard sell, I guess.
Yeah.
So it is impressive that Moon Knight is turning out as good as it is.
I think it's because like it's one of the things where like it feels different, but it's still part of the same world.
Right.
It's that flair that the first season. I think we talked this before. The first season of the Netflix shows had that didn't, they were a part of it, but they didn't really like acknowledge it. Like here, it's like an aspect of the gods, right? You have Thor, Odin, Loki, and all that stuff. But here's other gods that you're like, okay, so they're different, and that's one thing that makes it interesting, right? Because you think they're like, oh, maybe Khonshu knows Thor or shit like that, but chances are they don't. And also, it kind of depends on where the supernatural aspect of Marvel you kind of go with, because depending on like the writer, from what I've always noticed about in some of these comics, especially Marvel, um, sometimes Thor isn't very godlike, but sometimes he is very godlike, depending on who you ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because like he does, like, you know, you have to look forward for Ragnarok, but also like Ragnarok happened in the books, but then like he came back when like that's not supposed to happen.
Right.
So that kind of stuff. Now, obviously, with this show, it's also a tad bit more brutal, but in the brutal sense of like, again, a PG-13 movie, and it's really really good for like the brutalness of a PG-13 movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because like there's like the scene where, because Mark gets stabbed a shit ton of times.
Yeah, he gets it. Yeah, he definitely gets like stabbed a lot.
Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh no, he should be dead, but he's like, nah, but the suit keeps you safe.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since they stabbed this guy for a long while. And seeing because there was a point where like, oh damn, they're beating the shit out of him with those spears. But sometimes you forget that it's like, oh wait, you know, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. And it's one of those like what do you call it? Special disbelief moments that really fills out.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, they explain the suit protects him from all harm. Like we see him using like the cape to like block bullets and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it does. Yeah, Moon Knight can definitely take a heaping of punishment and not feel much. Although I do remember it being funny or rather interesting that Steven takes control for a little bit during that fight, trying to calm everybody down, and he's the first one to get stabbed. And he's like, "Oh, that's bad. Okay, Mark, take over, take over."
Yeah, it's always been funny.
Yeah. So yeah, it is a yeah, for what they can do, or at least what they can pull off for the show. Yeah, it is very interesting, to say the least, on how they're able to pull off, I guess, what is seen as one of Moon Knight's defining characteristics of being a brutal character, and they're able to do that well, given their I guess the restrictions of the MCU in a way. What I find most interesting about what happens in this episode is more like the potential fallout.
Right. Because there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, like I mean, I think it was I mean, obviously, like the Moon Knight powers come from Khonshu. He you know, bestows it upon Marc Specter and Steven,
Mm-hmm.
and they're able to use that or whatever. And with Khonshu being turned to stone, like how does that affect that? Are they
Clearly they won't be able to access the Moon Knight powers, because that came all from Khonshu.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, and not to mention like the whole. I mean, there's still a split personality, right?
Mhm.
So they can still use. They're gonna have to depend on each other to do a lot of the stuff. But without Khonshu, they have no sense of protection.
Yeah. As well as like again, the possibility of there being another personality inside
Mark and Steven.
that might be even way more brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that could be interesting to see if that like
and his
pops
name
up.
is Oscar.
No.
Okay. Well, it's funny because like apparently there was a time in the comics where Moon Knight thought he was Spider-Man, Wolverine. I think there was another character in there too, but he thought he was them, and he did like something they would do. So maybe we'll see something along those likes. But yeah, no, there's a lot of stuff to really pick it off this episode, because not only Khonshu's gone, no suit, but also Layla's whole thing with her dad and her relationship with her husband Mark, because it's like, oh, Mark's hiding something from me. I don't know what it is, and it might be the fact that hey, if I fail, you're gonna have to deal with Khonshu, and I don't want that. Yeah. Or it might be something that Mark knows the reason why her father's not around anymore.
Right.
So Oh, what if Mark killed his dad? Her dad?
I mean, it's possible.
That'd be nuts.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll do it because that's like really just out of left field for me.
A
You
little
know,
bit, yeah. Yeah.
it's like I killed your father, but I fell in love with you. I'm just like, no, that sounds too, Well, maybe that depends on the education, but aside from that, I think this is a very another very solid episode. I think they're getting better as they go along. It's something that I think we miss in like certain recent Disney Plus shows, specifically for Marvel, is that we can expand and focus much more on our stories instead of being held by a 2 minute, 2 hour long whatever.
Yeah, and that's sort of the nice thing about the shows,
Mm-hmm.
is that, I mean, especially for like a lot of the characters they've done with like WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier are focusing on characters that have been in the movies but never truly got their own spotlight, and having them have their own
And
shows.
this being the first one that has no attention to any of that, we're getting him straight off the bat.
Yeah, this is our like a full introduction to a brand new character in their own show, who, I mean, potentially may show up in any future MCU endeavors. But yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see how all that goes down. And to be fair, like they make mentions to other MCU locations in this episode, like Madripoor.
They did. Holy shit, they did.
Yeah, they made a mention about that.
So so again, there is a bit of connectivity, but the connectivity, like I was talking about earlier, is very light. And like I'm pretty sure I talked about in the past episode, the problem with Netflix was the further you got, the further it didn't feel connected. Like they're own little universe kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, technically now it's up to question, but point still stands. That kind of depends on where they got further away from the universe. Here, it's like, no, we're in the same universe. We're gonna see some similar. We might see some similar locations, but we will be talking about stuff. But it's our own self-contained story.
Right.
So that's the good on it. Now, of course, the question is, can this nail the landing? Because the one thing, while I did enjoy a lot of the shows, the landing part is the question. WandaVision was a great show until it. Not saying it wasn't, but the last episode could have been a lot better. And we'll see about that as we go along. Now, here's my question, Joey. Are you more excited, knowing that this is how they're doing for their new characters that haven't been introduced in films? Are you more excited for She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, and whatever other character are coming out?
I mean, Miss Marvel had a trailer come out, and it is interesting, I guess, to see. But I mean, Miss Marvel's always been a character that I've been kind of like on. Not to say I don't like her. I get what her character's supposed to be. It's just that I never been that into her.
You weren't interested.
Yeah. She-Hulk, I think, is one that I'm definitely at least seeing how how Moon Knight's been taking up and how well it's been received and stuff. I am definitely interested in how She-Hulk turns out, because I think She-Hulk, more than any character, has always been super interesting, because she's a cousin of Bruce Banner, who becomes She-Hulk because of a blood transfusion with Bruce. But she has far more control of her Hulk powers than Bruce ever did.
Yeah. And if you went with the earlier interpretations of She-Hulk, she was the Deadpool before Deadpool.
Yeah, like she could do fourth wall breaks and stuff, which to me, I feel like I wonder if they will tap into that in some way. Like have it be more like just her addressing the audience sometimes, or just like, hey, this is my story, this is how it works out, things, and that's her fourth wall break, or is it just straight up gonna be like her poking fun at stuff? And I mean, even her even her a lot of her stuff, she's a lawyer as well.
Yeah,
and
she's a single female lawyer.
Yeah, that opens up possibilities of maybe crossovers with Daredevil potentially. I don't know, but there's a lot of interesting things with She-Hulk, and seeing how Moon Knight's being done, I am intrigued and a bit excited to see where they go with She-Hulk.
Yeah. And I think that's probably the more interesting one out of all of them. And what other shows? I know they're doing a Secret Invasion show, which is going to be interesting, but I don't know much about it aside from the fact that it's based on the Secret Invasion book. But we'll see. It's one of those things where I think if you want to introduce more characters, I think the TV show arm is going to be the best place to do it now, because for some reason I feel like people are just kind of tired of origin stories, and while I kind of agree, that's more for me when it comes to an already established character that we don't need to see.
Yeah, it gets a bit tiring when we get to our whatever version of Batman and we have to sit through another 30 minutes of watching his parents get killed.
Yep, with the pearls and everything.
It
was one of the things I really disliked about the Joker. So I didn't need to see.
Yeah, that's the one thing about the Joker movie, which I mean, I know people really like that movie, but I just really hated the fact that they drive in another the setup for Batman with his parents dying during all that stuff going down. It's just like, come on, can we not have this same scene play out in in any Batman related movie over and over again? I mean, that's probably one of the things I at least liked about Matt Reeves Batman.
Yeah,
is that
we don't need that shit.
They don't show it. All we know is that it happened, and that's about it.
No, and it was more on the relationship with like Bruce and his parent and his dad, right? The shady shit that his dad might have been a part of. And while I do agree that the Batman was not as perfect as everyone wants to claim, I do like give it the gratitude, like thank you for not giving us another origin story. Though then again, I feel like if you're doing a new character, origins is fine to go because the origins are like establish who these characters are, right? What they're about.
Yeah.
Now with Moon Knight, you don't really get an origin story because like you don't know which origin it is.
Yeah, you don't know which personality is the dominant, which one is the like true person.
Yeah.
It's the mystery of like, who is this person? Are they Marc Specter? Are they Stephen Grant? Is this all just caused because of their contract with Khonshu? Like all this crazy stuff. That's what I think makes Moon Knight interesting, is because like you don't necessarily need an origin story. All you need is like sort of the intrigue of like, what is going on with this person. And
I think that's what makes Moon Knight so interesting. You are left hanging like, what's going on? Who's this Khonshu guy? Who's Marc Specter? Who's Steven? And as you gradually learn who's who, you start becoming more invested and more interested in like what's going on. And that's why I say Steven was a great idea to make him the first personality we meet. Because if something goes wrong and he doesn't know about it, then we don't know about it, and then we become invested. And then as he learns, we learn. And then once we pretty much get the gist, we don't need any more explanation. We just keep going. Now, again, I think that works best because of Moon Knight. But if you're doing a different character, like She-Hulk has an origin.
Yeah, she has a very set origin. It's going to be interesting to see it turn out in the MCU, because at this point in the MCU, Bruce does have at least some control of his Hulk powers. So it won't be necessarily as a big of a shock, but it'd be more of like seeing someone with Hulk powers being able to just act like a regular person instead of a raging monster.
I think that's gonna be the fun of it.
Yeah, like I don't know, like because that was always like an interesting way they took Bruce's character, is that he just was able to live as Hulk for a bit. The personality, him and Hulk were able to hash things out. Although I think when we last saw him at the end credits of Shang-Chi, he was just in regular Bruce Banner form.
Yeah.
So he's definitely, I don't know.
Man can jump it back and forth.
Yeah. So yeah. So who knows how She-Hulk would turn out? I mean, but she does have a pretty like definitive origin that can work, and just seeing what they can do with that or with the character in the MCU is gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah. All I gotta say is I guess I'm excited to see what else comes out for MCU shows. But so far, getting back to a bit of a on topic, Moon Knight, this episode pretty good.
No, yeah, it's a pretty good episode. I mean, the reason we talked about it because like this is the first time they've done a character that's not in the movies, and we're going to see more characters that aren't from the movies coming up soon. Because I think after this is Miss Marvel, and I think She-Hulk should be coming out at the end of this year or next year.
Yeah.
And then after that, we just got a slate of movies to watch out for. I mean, we still got to check out Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I don't know how that movie's going to turn out, but you know, it's all dependent. But yeah, no, I think it's a good place to end it. I mean, this is always going to be intended to be a short episode. That's why we decided to go with the Moon Knight episode. But yeah, no, Moon Knight's still pretty good. I still can't give it a rating yet because I don't wait for the whole thing. But I really recommend Moon Knight now. It's really good. And this is just the third episode, right? Or is it the fourth? I lost track.
This is the third episode.
Yeah, and we're halfway there. And we're already this invested in. So yeah, it's a good show to go with. Season 2? I don't know. We don't know yet. Depends on Oscar Isaac himself. Yeah. But yeah, that's the end of the episode. If you enjoyed what you heard, you can follow us on all social medias, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at the Geek Centurions. And if you like what you heard, we are on all the other podcasting sites like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora. All this can be found in the link in the bio of our Instagram, where we are most active. And you'll find a link to the YouTube for all you audio listeners out there who want to put a face to the voice. That's where we'll be. And you can like, comment, subscribe, any kind of thing that will help us out in that form. Also, we do have a Patreon, so that if you guys ever want to assist us, usually we just have it there just to have it there. But if you want to help us anyway, that's fantastic, and that'll help us out with anything we want to do in the future. And yeah, that's the end of the episode. Moon Knight is Oscar. I love Oscar Isaac. Mm-hmm. He is a great actor. I can't wait for him in as Miguel O'Hara
in the Spider-Verse movie.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, it's been us. It's me, your boy Eli.
It's me, Joe.
You guys have a good one. Peace.